Top 3 last week. We were going to go to a suite at the Suns game,
and you have some trust. These people are smart.
Sales becomes a tough business. It doesn't matter if you're giving away free stuff. It doesn't matter if it's,
hey, it hits this level. Now bring in the adjusting team. You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Aline, the co-author of the books Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors and The Best Known Roofer. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the leading digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, comment, share, like, all those types of things, depending on where you're listening to us. Leave us a review. That'd be awesome. And if you want to take the conversation beyond what you're just listening to here, go to Facebook, type in Roofing Success, and join the Roofing Success Facebook group. Here with Dan Zrihen today from Pro-Tec Contracting, AdjustPro Solutions. And what's the solar company, Dan?
That's America First Energy.
America First Energy. So a lot going on over in Dan's world. But Dan, how did you get into roofing, man?
Well, actually a long time ago, my dad he just retired. He's a contractor. And, I always watched him. It was either he's making money or it was too much month at the end of the money. Mm-hmm. Right. And I noticed that as a contractor, you had these huge peaks and valleys. And I want to stay as far away from the contracting world as I can. And I ended up getting a job at a college, going door to door for this home improvement company. And I remember talking to my dad and I said, "Hey, I'm going to go door to door for this construction company." He said, "What, are you crazy? Like, no one goes door to door for home improvements or construction." And so I ended up doing very well at that and moving up the ranks at that company and became their number one guy for a few years and building teams and all that kind of stuff. And then I had the opportunity to open up my own business, and we were doing retail. And I had a business consultant come in, and he looked at my business and what we were doing. He said, "Man, you guys are really doing it the hard way." And I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, we're canvassing, we're setting up, construction appointments, we're converting those, the in-home sales, 10-step sales process. We're masters of all that stuff. And he says, "Yeah, this is really, really hard the way you guys are doing it. Let me show you an easier way." And I'm all ears, like, what do you got? And he says, "Have you ever heard of storm restoration?" I said, "No." "Well, I think I kind of heard, like in Florida, they do that kind of thing, maybe in Texas, but not here in Arizona." And he says, "Come check it out. I want you to go out with me one day and see what we can do." And we went out and we got a couple claims, and next thing you know, we had a check that showed up, and he walks in with a check from the insurance company. I said, "Okay, this is the real deal." And so after we figured out how easy it was to generate the leads canvassing for roofing restoration, we're like, okay, this is a no-brainer. I don't have to hard sell a customer or whatever, or any of the high pressure stuff. We can go to the door, give these customers a roof paid through their insurance. It was a fantastic program. And so we just pivoted our entire organization into the storm restoration industry, and it kind of just took off from there.
That's awesome, man. And I know there are a lot of successful contractors out there, contracting companies out there that do knock for retail. But when you talk about it in roofing, it's like it's a foreign concept to a lot of people. It's something that, like, I talk to a lot of retail contractors up in the Northeast and in the Northwest, anywhere outside of the storm restoration states, and they're like, "Knock doors? What are you talking about? Like, why would we knock doors?" They focus on more brand and lead generation and things like that. Let's just dive into it a little bit on the for people that would knock for retail. What was your strategy there? How did you just pull up to a neighborhood and just go on through, or did you have some kind of qualification of where you were going to knock?
Yeah. So, I mean, in the home improvement sector, you have some guidelines that you want to stick to. So, this is from a really old company called Pacesetter. And for anyone that's watching this video, if you've been in the industry for a long time, you know who that company is. And I had the pleasure to work with one of the greats from that company who started their own home improvement company. So, I learned all the fundamentals and criteria that they're looking for. But one of the key things that the company that I started with, what they did was they would go to market with a lot of different products. So windows, painting, roofing, concrete, driveways, pavers. You were doing kitchen and bath remodeling. You were doing patio covers. You were kind of exploring the home improvement world there. So that way, really no door would be overlooked. So you would approach the customer and, hey, I noticed you had the original windows on the home. Obviously, you're going to replace them at some point. When you get around to doing it, would you do them in the front here or all the way around the house? And so we would have qualifying questions we would use to get our 4 ingredients of a lead to make it a solid foundation. We'd set it up, tie it up in a bow, send it to the sales reps, and they would go in and do their in-home presentation and close the business.
Nice. So in a retail setting, the kind of the key in that situation maybe is that you have multiple service offerings. So because you don't know what the need is of the homeowner, that having multiple service offerings helps to just get to the door and make a sale. I'm hearing.
It was very creative. We would go to the door and go, let's say the home was in great shape, right? And we'd say, hey, I noticed that you guys have a well-kept home. You take good care of the place. What's next on your honey-do list? Is it the kitchen or the bathroom? Right. And they would go, oh, yeah, we actually were thinking about, doing something with our bathroom. OK, perfect. The master or the guest or all together. Oh, we were thinking about doing the master bath. Oh, perfect. I'd love to, set up an appointment. We'll come out, take it. So we were able to get information. They trained us very well at that company. And that's how I was able to really build my own, was taking a model that was already working, not reinventing the wheel, and just, tweaking it as I go and building, my organization with my team and my guys and making it successful for us.
Yeah, and what I see is really why there's such a differentiator in the companies that knock. Everyone in storm restoration markets knocks. If it's just something you do, it's part of the business. But in the retail model, it's not always part of the business, right? So
no, we didn't have any insurance side at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now I can see where when this opportunity was presented to you, hey, nearly every home in this neighborhood needs a new roof. You have an exact need and an exact location of where to get your boots on the ground. How was that shift, and how did you shift that pitch to the storm restoration market?
I mean, it became so simple, right? It was, hey, I stopped by because I noticed that you have severe roof damage, but keep your checkbook at home, folks. We're going after big fish. We're going to get your insurance company to cover the roof. All you have to worry about is a deductible. It's a drop in the bucket compared to the cost of a new roof. And people they're excited to sign up for that, right? It's a huge value proposition to the customer. And yeah, so once we figured out the storm restoration industry, we're like, okay, that's a slam dunk. But there came other challenges with that because as a contractor, you have such limited control over the claim process, right? You would file the claim with the customer. I'd be on the phone with State Farm. Hey, I'm here with Mrs. Jones. Here's Mrs. Jones, and then I'm Mrs. Jones. Here's my information, and then they would file the claim right there, and you're trying to follow up with the homeowner to see when the adjustment is scheduled. And sometimes they won't even let you know because they don't really understand what's going on. And the check gets sent to the homeowner and then they disappear on you. So there's a lot of challenges came as we were becoming a volume dealer in the storm restoration space that we had to learn how to mitigate. And that actually brought us to getting our adjuster's license and really taking that next level inside of the insurance restoration world.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know it's not something that you could do in every state, but it definitely gives you another aspect of the business. It gives you a different view of the business. like people that are in the storm restoration industry, like some of them that have been, maybe at one time they were an insurance adjuster, and they're selling roofs. Like they have seen it from a different angle. They've seen the game that was played on the other side. They played for the other team, maybe, right? And so they know what plays they're running. And
well, in the insurance world, they call us the dark side, right? So if you're working for the homeowner, we're the dark side. It's an interesting perspective.
So now as you kind of got acclimated and got everything running in the storm restoration market, it was like, ooh, next, like we could do that. How did that come into focus for you when that was the next logical step?
Going down the adjusting path?
Going down the adjuster path, yeah.
So, obviously when you're running a volume-based roofing restoration program, you're going to have some fall off with your customers, and we're trying to mitigate that. We also don't like the control of like where the check is going, and there's different paperwork that you can have the homeowner sign, but none of it really is legally binding. And then who's now a friend of mine, he came into one of our contracting offices, and he was a public adjuster, a younger guy, another successful guy, and he gave us a spiel on how to be a public adjuster and what the value is of being an adjuster. So I talked to him afterwards, and I said, let me come check it out. And so I took a look at how the business was working as an adjuster versus contractor. I said, this is it's no brainer. It's taking the storm restoration market and turning it into the 2.0 version.
Yeah.
Right. So like when I see a contractor who's just a contractor, it's like it's almost like they're a dinosaur now. They're so archaic. They don't. And I say that with respect to the contractors because it's a hard job, and we're all trying to do the same thing: make some money, help the customers, fight the insurance company. But when you're dealing with a homeowner and their claim, all too often what I see is contractors they help a homeowner with the claim. The claim does not get approved by the insurance company on the first adjustment, and they just walk away. And again, like going back to the retail contractors, they don't even know what a claim looks like. I can't tell you how many roofers I've talked to, they're retail roofers who go up on a roof and say, this looks fine. I'm like, what do you mean there's hail all over this thing? Like, how do you not see that? And it's just, that's the eyes you learn in the restoration business. And then the main thing for us was we wanted to provide an extra level of value to our customer. These people are paying a premium for so long on their policy. How can we maximize this claim for this customer? And we were just so limited as a contractor. We couldn't take it to the next level when we wanted to. So when we became an adjuster and we started learning how those laws apply and the rules that you can utilize within the policy to really enforce either codes or appraisal or just navigating the process in general, it really gave our company and our customers a good conduit to really get the value out of every claim. And that's helped us. It's helped other contractors in the valley as we team up with them to manage their claims as an adjuster. So it's given us a much better perspective. I'll give you an example. Like this morning, the friend of mine I was talking about where I started, he sent me an article that a law just passed in Arizona, and this is going to trickle to the rest of the country, where the insurance companies are not allowed, it's illegal to depreciate labor. Right. So what they want to do, and this is centered around, the ACV policy. Right. Back in the day, like we saw an ACV policy, it's like, folks, it's not even worth filing a claim. Like it's not worth the paper it's written on. Right. But with this law passing, now the insurance company is not allowed to depreciate the ACV. So they're going to still get replacement cost coverage for labor, but they can still depreciate the material, but it still makes it a much better opportunity for that homeowner to be able to recover from the insurance.
Yeah, for sure. How have so I mean you have separate entities, right? You have your storm restoration roofing contracting business, and then you have your public adjusting business. How have you kind of married the processes of the two? Where do the reps or your production team, when it gets to a certain point? Like, is there, hey, it hits this level, now hey, bring in the adjusting team. Like, how have you structured that process?
And this is an interesting topic because the industry in itself needs to be re-educated. When a contractor or a homeowner file a claim for property damage, the insurance company has complete control now. Okay, so they're going to go out there, they're going to run their adjustment. They don't legally have to speak to the contractor. They do it as a courtesy, and there's a lot of room in there for a failed claim process. Mm-hmm. So our education system, we're trying to teach the either restoration contractors or retail guys, if they go on a roof, use an adjuster's license to actually sign up the customer. This gives you complete control of the claims process. Like, they can't schedule an adjustment without going through us. We become a firewall. So there's no more insurance companies sneaking around. They have to go through us in order to continue on with the process. And as a public adjuster, and the more we become, and this is any public adjuster, the more you become versed to the policy language, the laws, case laws that dictate certain policy provisions, codes, requirements, enforcements, all that kind of stuff, then the insurance company starts knowing that you know what you're doing, right? And they're like, oh shit, now they have a firewall. This guy knows what he's doing. Let's not even fight this battle and just pay for it, right? So we're seeing a lot more approvals up front when we're able to initiate the claim as the adjuster from the onset. So where in the past it's been, hey, Dan, I got this claim. We've been working it for like 3 months, man. Insurance company's not paying for anything. It's completely, destroyed. Can you save it? Right? And so that's called forensic adjusting. And we don't have a problem doing that. We have a pretty good success rate on those, but it's a lot harder to battle back from behind, where your back's against the wall, than coming from the front already positioned with all the arguments and with them knowing that you've hired the big guns. It's the same thing it's like an attorney, right? If the homeowner knew that they had an attorney like sitting right there when they showed up, they'd act a little bit different. So it's the same concept. So the model is leverage the adjuster's license to gain control over the process so that you can facilitate that claim working out in a more positive outcome in a quicker time frame.
And getting it and getting it, the claim started from the public adjusting side of things. Correct. Not from which I could see a huge advantage in that.
Instead of trying to clean up the mess.
Instead of cleaning up the mess, because that's what happens. What you say in court can be used against you, right? It's kind of the thing that comes to my mind, right? So all of this has already been said before you get to the claim, right? And so all of this has already been documented this way and that way and the other way, and now you have to go back and clean all of that up. I could see how that definitely it puts it into a much smoother process, and it kind of pushes back a little bit on the insurance company to act in a different manner.
This is all about good faith. Yeah. Right? Because if the insurance company isn't following the guidelines within the policy, then they're acting in bad faith. Yep. So when they know that you have control over the claim process, they know that you understand the laws that govern the process, they are more apt to just work in good faith. So like, we have attorneys that are ready to rock and roll because as an adjuster, we can take it so far. We can manage the appraisal process for the customer. Yep. We can help with with that type of thing and get it to as far as we can. We win a lot in-house. Sometimes we third party, but eventually it gets to a point where even as an adjuster, we get stonewalled, right? And then it goes to the next level, which is the attorney. So instead of it going contractor, public adjuster, attorney, if we just go public adjuster, fight fire with fire from the beginning, a lot of times won't have to ever end up with that attorney, which saves a lot of people a lot of time and headache and resources and all that. But to go back on your question, just on the how we with where it transitions from adjuster to contractor. So we use the adjusting service almost as a sales arm, right? To sign the customer up, work the claims process. Once everything's been approved, then it would go to the contractor to run a construction appointment, upsell the customer, make that the best roof in town, because when you're saving them $12,000, $15,000 on a roof replacement, what's another couple grand to make it, just a top-notch tier product, and service. And it's much easier to collect, which also that pivots us into solar and how we got involved into the financing side of solar. But so it's a transition, right? And then once the roof is done, it goes back to the adjuster again to negotiate supplements and to collect all of those final payments. So that's kind of how the process.
Yeah. So let's dive into the process a little bit. So you're going door to door, but are you essentially going door to door, and your reps go door to door as the adjusters, as the
yes.
Okay. So really, it's also, I can see a little bit different conversation that can happen at that door. Tell me if I'm off or not, but I see that's a different pitch. It's when you're coming in from the contracting side, you have one pitch, but if you're coming from the public adjusting side, you may have a different. It's a different pitch. How is it?
It's slightly different, but we have to also look at from the homeowner's perspective, who probably doesn't know much about this process at all.
True.
So for them, they understand a roofing company, but they don't understand an adjuster.
Yeah.
Right. So there is a little bit of re-education, but the presentation is similar. It's the paperwork in how that gets filled out with that customer that gives you that control of the claim process. So, but the pitch is roughly the same. So like when we went from contractor to adjuster, we changed a few words in our presentation and we were signing up people at the same
level. Now the process is different in what they're signing, though. That's a different. Okay. So they're signing to be a customer of the public adjusting firm. And then then later in the process, they're signing the contract with the contracting company. Okay.
Yeah. So the first things that they sign are what are called a legal letter of representation of a public adjuster. Okay. That gives the adjuster full control and autonomy to act as the insured, so to speak, to navigate the claims process. Then they sign a public adjuster agreement, which is a contract between the adjuster and the customer stating here are the fees. It talks about the deductible, certain thing, and that differs based on the state and what you have to put in there. But those are all state regulated type documents that protect the consumer as well as the adjuster in the process. But it gives you full control, and it's an easy couple documents to fill out. So going back to what you were saying, yes, we are canvassing as AdjustPro, but we are also, like, let's say you're a contractor that just wants help with negotiating the claims part, right? Like I don't want to deal with these people don't answer the phone. I'm chasing them down forever. It's a nightmare. They don't want to approve any of my estimates and stuff, right? I got you. Here's what we can do. When you show up, here's our paperwork. Have the customer fill it out when you're there, right? That way it's already done. You send that to us and we just do the same thing as if you were one of our canvassers in the field. Yep. It's just when it gets to that, we got the approval, goes back to the contractor. Contractor runs their construction side of it, lets us know if there's stuff that was missed. Let's say it was 3 layers instead of 2 layers or whatever. Supplementing items, we'll do all that and chase down the insurance company for the remainder.
Yep. All right. That makes perfect sense. So now, how many reps do you guys have on average, or how many reps did you have running this year?
So we usually run at somewhere between 30 and 50 at any given time, just in one state. As we open up like a new location where our target is usually in a larger metro, to be somewhere between 30 and 50 reps.
So this is what I think could be valuable for other people too. You come from the door-to-door world, home improvement, knocking doors, moved over into storm restoration. Man, that's a lot of training. How do you first? Let's talk a little bit about your how you are finding good reps, or how do you first? Let's talk about how to find a good rep. What are you looking for?
You're looking for anybody that's really willing to learn, and they're open-minded. There's different ways to look at it, and as far as recruiting, we recruit in every direction we possibly can. Like, what you focus on is going to grow. So we focus on recruiting always, right? It's like videos like this, or even our own videos that we're posting. We throw parties and we do fun stuff to try to attract more talented people, but it's like, I would almost rather take someone with no sales experience, can teach them our way, than someone who says, look, you can't teach me anything. I've been doing this for a long time. I already know what I'd rather have someone who is fresh. We can teach from the beginning. They're moldable, trainable. We can teach them not only the canvassing, because canvassing is important, right? But people want to see room for growth. They want to know that they're not going to be stuck in that door-to-door canvassing role forever. So I think, and this is something I've learned over the years, is the key is not just, hey, you're going to come here, this is the kind of money you can make going door to door. They like that, right? They say, oh, wow, I can make, six figures, working, a couple hours a day, going out and basically giving away a roof for free, and they just got to cover their deductible, right? They can make a lot of money doing that, but that's not the end all. So we try to promote leadership. Like, how do we take someone who's green or has little experience, not only give them the confidence to go out and hit the doors and be successful on a duplicatable system, but how do we promote them into upper levels? How do we grow their career and really their own business within ours? Because eventually, if a guy's good enough, they'll probably leave, and they'll start their own thing. Which it took me a long time to be okay with that concept, but maybe that's why more people are staying with us longer, is because our goal is to help you become everything that you need to be to become successful in door to door and in the sales process, and understanding the business model and all those things that eventually you could go out and do it on your own.
So now you've identified some good people, you've hired them on. What's your training process look like?
So we always do a two-part training system, right? When we onboard a new rep, you have an in-class training, which we developed a very simple 6-step sales presentation at the door. And this is something that we took from the home improvement industry that worked very well. We just kind of, changed a few things and made it more relevant to storm restoration. And so we teach that in class, and we don't just tell you, hey, memorize the script. We actually dive into the psychology of the presentation, why you're saying what you're saying, so you can understand, right? And we talk about, not only the words, what to say, how to say it. We talk about verbal, nonverbal communication, all of those things that, really are the fundamentals of success in a canvassing role. But at the end of the day, it comes down to attitude, right? It's just like, I'll be in a training class, and I've got reps who, some of them are like, they're writing everything down, and they're super their energy's there. They're you can see it in their eyes. They just have a fire that's burning, and then some guys are rolling back and they're like, oh my god, like what? Like, when is this over? And you can tell, in a few weeks who was, who actually, stuck with it and did the grind. And then from the in-class training, we go into the field training, where you bring in guys or girls that are already having success, and then they get to see that at the door. So once they get that in class, they get a little confidence there, make sure that they know their stuff, get them in the field, get them trained with someone who's experienced, who knows how to get numbers on a daily basis, so they can see what that success actually looks like in real time. And then we wean them off, into where they're now self-sufficient and running on their own.
So I love that you put someone in front of success. Like, I think that's an important piece of the puzzle, that they actually see that person succeeding at the door, right? Like
It's crazy that you say that. I've got these guys come to me all the time, and they're so impressed with any level of training. And I'm like, wait, what happened at the last company? Well, they just gave me a piece of paper and said, good luck. I'm like, how do you expect? Of course, you're going to have an incredibly high turnover. Of course, you're going to have people frustrated because they're not making money. Of course, that's going to happen. You have to give, support. Like, we invest so much into our team members. Like just on Monday, we sent these guys to a basketball game, right? We said, hey, top 3 last week or for the week are going to go to a suite at the Suns game. And they're all excited, like, and you breed that but you're always with your team, and you're helping them, and you're helping inspire, and training is so important. So we meet every day. So our sales meetings are every single day, because we want to make sure that we're always driving in the fundamentals. And it's not like, and there's some companies, everybody runs their company different.
Yes.
Right. You have the project manager operation, and then you have the canvassing, setter, signer, account manager process. So a lot of times the project manager style companies, they don't have much oversight over the guys. They're all, kind of independent contractors. They run their own deal. They never show up to the office. They go out and they do, and you can have some guys that are successful that way. And then you have a lot of people that just fall off because it's kind of hard to be self-motivated a lot of times for folks. And that's why we do it more as a team. We're one group, one unit, like a military, like an army. We're going out there to blast it home together. Like, we're going to win together, and losing's not an option. Yeah. Right. So if it's 4:00 and you don't have anything yet, you're calling me, and we're going to go make sure that we get you one, and that's just it's a different approach to the industry for sure. And that's what I got from, a long time ago when that company was so successful. It was because their training was great. Their support was great. And, that goes a long way.
That is a different level of, a lot of contractors started. I mean, they were a sales rep somewhere. Maybe they found some success as a sales rep, and they were like, man, I could do this better. Or they started on the production side, and they're like, I know how to build roofs. I just need to learn how to sell. Or if they were a subcontractor and they're like, well, I could sell to that person, right? And so there's so many different avenues into the roofing business. But I mean, I've come to a realization in our business that I came to the realization from, it was a meeting that I was in, a mastermind group that I was in, and there was this guy that was speaking who built like an $80 million business and sold it, and and he made a statement that there was a point in his business where his business turned into a hiring and training organization versus being the business that he was in. And I was like, that's a prolific statement, right? Like, that one hit me. And so becoming that, you have to hire the right people and you have to train them well. And that leads to the success of your business. Walk me through what the kind of the format or structure that you have on those morning meetings that helps your team learn and get fired up for the day.
It's kind of a combination of a few ideas. Obviously you have motivation being one of them. And the other thing is, there's no better form of motivation than education. So if we can try to approach each meeting with some form of education. Okay, hey, John, how did you do yesterday? It was a rough day yesterday. I got one inspection. It didn't sign up for a claim. I was having a bad. Okay, well, let's talk about that. What objections were you getting that were you were unable to overcome? Well, honestly, I was getting through my pitch, and then I would ask them like how long they've owned the home, and they would say, they're just not ready to do anything with the roof right now. They're going to wait for another storm, right? And you'd get them to kind of give you what those objections are that they're struggling with. And so then you take that and say, okay, great. Why don't we do this? And every day could be a little bit different. Hey, why don't we do this? Everybody's objections, we're going to write them on the whiteboard. Let's write everything that these people are saying out there, right? Because I can tell you this much. We're sitting in a room right now to learn how to overcome objections. The homeowners are not sitting in a room right now learning how to come up with them. Okay. So we have an advantage here. Okay. And we have to remember that, right? Yes, we're going into a battlefield. You're knocking on someone's door. You're not the first one. You're not the last one. You just have to be the best one that knocks on their door and give a great presentation. We're going to learn how to overcome objections. And you have to have a process to that, because really objections is a big part of it. That's what's discouraging to a rep, right? They get no told over and over and over. And if you don't know how to properly overcome an objection, sales becomes a tough business. It doesn't matter if you're giving away free stuff. It doesn't matter if it's, even you remember that show, Pimp My Ride, and Exhibit would show up with a check, and people would be like, not interested, and slam the door before wait, that was Exhibit, right? Like, it's just people's natural reaction. So you have to learn how to, anticipate those reactions and how to best overcome them in a pleasantly persuasive way, and really put that at the forefront of your coaching, of your training, and help bring that education piece on a daily basis. It may not be about objections. It might be about just general knowledge of the process. Hey, a customer asked me, like, what happens after the roof is approved, right? And so you're constantly growing your people, so they become experts themselves. Like, I've been at companies where they don't want to teach you too much, so you don't know too much, so you don't leave and go start your own thing. Where I'm an open book. Like, I want you to learn, become an expert. The more experts in the industry, the better everyone is. I mean, it's just like the insurance companies are trying to control us. They created Xactimate, they created Assimility, they created all the estimating softwares that say this is how much a roofer should get paid, right? They're trying to control all of us, right? The only way that we're going to get control back is by coming together and saying, we're not going to take that anymore. Like, this is what it costs to replace a roof, period. Right. And so there's a lot of stuff that has to happen in the industry as a whole, bringing everyone together so that we can, as roofing contractors or PAs, have a little more control and say in the overall scheme of what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. We talked a lot about sales, right? The sales side. How have you structured the production side of your business to manage 34 people out there knocking all the time?
So now, are we talking about, when you say production, you mean door-to-door guys, or you mean like actual installation projects and managing?
Yep, the production side, installing the roofs, right?
So the same concept that we take to our door-to-door approach, which is building leaders, we do the same thing internally with the staff. Okay, so everyone in our company starts somewhere and works their way up. And so, like, right now, our build department has a leader, and she is, incredible. And she started off not believing in herself and all those things. And she didn't think, like, when I told her, you're going to schedule, 25 roofs a week or whatever in this market, she's like, wait, that sounds like it's crazy. Right. And not only that, you're going to manage all the interior builds. You're going to manage all of the asbestos testing. You're going to and she's like, wait, what do you do? You're going to do solar detach and reset. You're going to do all that. And she's like, that's crazy. And we built the department around her. And she, there was times where she was crying to me saying she can't do this. And I say, you can do this. You got to believe in yourself. I wouldn't put you in the position if I didn't think you had the ability to do it. And this is really in every department in our company, is we promote that leadership. Now she's running a great operation. I'm very proud of our build department because they take initiative. They're always doing these extracurricular projects to become even more and more efficient. And it's because we've given them and promoting that leadership and giving them the ability to kind of run it their way. Like, here's the things that need to get done, but I want you to make it. I want you to do it.
That's a tough thing for people, Dan. Like that, letting people take over. Boy, that's a tough one.
It is. And I've had trouble with that because I have been a micromanager for a lot of my early career, because I'm like, I know that I'm going to do it right and either going to do it exactly the way I want it done or get out of my way. And it stunts your growth. You have to allow your team to have the autonomy to be creative and to build it. And just like right now, right, we are implementing a new tech program that's going to automate our entire system, because that's one of the last steps for us is complete automation. And so my leaders are downstairs in our production office right now, and they're working with the tech guy. And I said, hey, you guys got this. I'm in the way. Let me get out of your guys' way. You set it up the way you need it, and I'm jumping on the podcast, right? So,
Yep.
and it's nice because that way they get to just take ownership. They believe in it, and it's really for them.
That's one of the things that I see. Like I was talking to someone the other day, and they were saying that they were having their annual planning meeting, and they set their goals for the next year, and they wanted my input on running their annual planning meeting. And I said, well, what I keep hearing from you is that you set everything. Maybe some questions to them that lead them to where they think this is going and should go, right? That's and hopefully it ends up at the same place, right? And maybe at a point in time you can express to them, hey, I was thinking we may go all the way to here. You guys are thinking we can get to here. I think we could get to here. Do you think that there's any impediment to that? Like how, or what do we need? And what resources would you need to get to here versus here? Like, I think that a lot of times we're leading, we think of leading our companies from our thoughts and actions instead of, like, once you have some of those key people and you have some trust, these people are smart. They're going to get things done, right?
Here's something that was really, I don't want to say opened my eyes, but it really resonated with me. I was in a staff meeting last week. This is last Friday. And I have a good friend of mine who is an engineer at Intel. And his job as an engineer at Intel is he's in charge of automation. So whenever a factory goes down, he has to make it so that the factory gets up and running ASAP. And I got him on the phone in front of the whole team because I wanted to ask him he didn't know I was going to call him. I just did it randomly because I like to do that kind of thing. And I said, hey, Aaron, so tell me what you do at Intel. And he said, I'm an automations engineer. My job is to make sure that if a factory goes down, we're up and running fast. 1 hour down, 1 hour with these factories down, and they lose $7 million. And there's factories all over the world. So you could imagine, like, just, and when you think about that, yeah, that's Intel, like a big company. And if they have 1 hour of inefficiency, it costs them $7 million. Every business has a level of inefficiency. It costs money, right?
Yeah.
So that was one part of it. The other part was I asked him, so tell me, you're an engineer, you're a lead in your department. How does someone move up in a multi-billion-dollar worldwide company? How do you move up, right? And he says, well, that's a good question. He says, at Intel, there is a school of thought that either you rent your job or you own your job. You're either a renter or an owner. Renters do the bare minimum to get by, and usually they see their way out eventually of the company. The owners, they take initiative, they take ownership, they go above and beyond to do a great job and to put their name and their stamp on the job that's at hand, and they're the ones that move up. And I'm like, wow, that is, yeah, right. I mean, and so that was funny because I was just talking to the team earlier. I said, it was crazy because it's so true. You have renters and owners in this world, and you get to choose which one you want to be. Do you want to be a renter, or do you want to look? We need renters to pay the owner. So pick one. Either you're going to rent for your whole life, or you're going to take ownership of your job. And the people that take ownership, that when you find them, you take them, you develop them, you give them the tools to succeed, and you let them become the owners that they can be within your organization.
Yeah, that is a great way to put it. And you could see it in people, right? Like, that's the other thing, is that, like, you can see it in them a lot of times, right? That those are the owners. I wanted to go back to a couple of things quick. First thing is that you talk about, during the process, and they may kind of tie together. You have a couple of things that you're doing. So first of all, you mentioned earlier, like, upselling, right, through the storm restoration process. And then I know you guys have added solar as a service offering also. And I know that you lead with roofing and sell solar during the sales process. So first, let's just touch quickly on just the upsell in the roofing sale, and then maybe go into how you're approaching the solar sale.
Sure.
In the process.
So my school of thought is, a lead is it's the most important part of your business is that customer. And what I'm seeing the trend is that it's not about just turning and burning anymore. It's trying to take one customer and expanding that one customer to generate more revenue, maximizing that customer. So what I did was I took I'll give you an example. We're a GAF Master Elite contractor on our construction side. So we are all gaffed out. All of our gear is gaff. All of our stuff is gaff. I won't sell any other product, right? Not because they're not other good products out there. We're just like a branded type of program. I like to do that. And so when we go in the house, we have I created a menu. So it was very easy for someone to say, hey, I want to add ridge vent. So you take your iPad, you slide down, you click this button, and it adds ridge vent to your order, right? I want to go from the Timberline Natural Shadow to our upgrade, which we do, which is the HDZ shingle. They click add upgrade, and it creates a total. And now we've created additional income with that customer. So I created this menu. It's got all kinds of items on there. Attic insulation, you name it. We can sell air conditioning systems, whatever. When we're in the house, we have the ability to add value with other products. And that ties in with the solar. If you're a roofing contractor, you should have some form of your business involved in solar in some capacity, and vice versa, right? I talk to solar companies all the time who they don't know a damn thing about roofing. And then you talk to roofing contractors, they don't want nothing to do with solar. Like, you guys got to understand, we're both on the same roof, right? Like, we're on the same damn roof. Like, learn how to be, educate yourself on a product. So anyway, and so that's part of it. We introduce solar at the beginning just to plant the seed that, hey, this is something that we can do for you. And then once we've gotten everything approved from the insurance and we're sitting down with that customer, we have our upsell program. Now we're adding $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on every single roof, because they're upgrading to the Golden Pledge, Premier, GAF, Master Elite, double lifetime warranty stuff. And so they add another $3,000, $4,000. They say, that's a lot of money. I say, perfect. I'm sure you got an energy bill, right? Let me show you how you can get all this stuff for free, and I'm going to reduce your bill. So now we have solar getting a part of the presentation as a financing tool, which to me, that's the only value of solar is it's a couple of things. One, it's a good thing to do. And two, for financially and for the environment, but it's also a phenomenal financing application because you're stretching out a loan over 25 years. So like where you're selling a roof retail, let's say a $12,000 roof at a 6.99% APR through Wells Fargo, you're $300 a month. You're $200 a month. You sell it on a 25-year, 2.99% financing through solar, you're $20 a month. Like you can't be beat on that financing. So you leverage the solar for its financing application. You can add it in, and they get the tax credit on whatever is in that solar loan. So now you're looking at a 30%. You're all that stuff is beyond free. They're getting paid to go solar. So there's so many great attributes to solar right now. Roofing is a perfect couple. You should learn how to marry those two. And for us, coming from the home improvement side, where I went from door to door into in-home sales and became a home improvement expert, doing kitchen remodels and knocking down walls and room additions and all that, and to scaling down now to being a roofing contractor, and then PA, it's all just it's education. Like, you call yourself an energy expert, you're a solar guy, but you don't know a damn thing about an AC.
Yeah.
Like you don't know anything about windows and how those enhance the efficiency of the home's envelope. Like you don't know anything about ventilation on a roof but you're calling yourself an energy expert, right? So it's a lot there. There's so much opportunity to generate revenue from a customer, and to limit yourself to be one dimensional and one zone. It's to me, it's foolish.
isn't it fun looking back at your kind of the path your life has gone and going and seeing how all the pieces fit together later? Right.
It's crazy.
The statement that you just made, that's what I thought of, right? Like you started off in this home improvement, all these different things, like you learned all of these different skill sets and they all start to kind of come together and you look back and you go, wow, look at that. I see that whole path that this came from, right? What could you share with our audience that's like the greatest insight that's helped you find success in your roofing business?
I'm coming from a door-to-door perspective, right? So door-to-door is a very aggressive form of marketing. And it teaches you so much about yourself. It teaches you so much about the marketplace. You learn that as long as you can walk down a street and talk to people, there's no such thing as a recession for you. So I think the most important thing that you can learn is the ability to generate the business, right? That's the first step. That's the first leg of the race. This is a relay race. This company, every one of these construction companies, roofing, you name it, it's a relay race. And the first leg of the relay race is marketing and sales. And that's the first run. And that has to be a good handoff to the next department, right? So it's learning how to market and sell, number one, and then paying attention to those transitions. So when I transition from marketing and sales to, let's say account managers or production, if I don't communicate that handoff properly, balls are dropped. Now there's a problem. This guy promised me all this stuff, and he's now I'm calling the BBB and I'm filing a complaint. And so it's, excuse me, you have your lead generation, your sales is the first leg of the relay. Then you have your account management and your production is the second step of the relay. And then you close it out with your leadership and your operations and finance, right? But that relay is so important to understand that, even because I was a great sales guy and I thought I was, when I'm in my early 20s, mid 20s, I'm like, I'm the best thing in the world. And because, I can go out and sell anybody and knock it down. And I'm thinking that's all that matters. And I lost a business. I lost an entire company because I didn't understand how important production and finance and operations were, right? I was still young and learning that stuff. And so, after getting the whole picture, you have to understand that it's so important to have all of that, right? And just like you were saying earlier, it's so hard to give up control, but do you want a job or do you want to own a business?
Awesome, man. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more revenue through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com to get a copy of the book, The Best Known Roofer. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. Thanks for listening.